What up, what up, what up? What is up? What is up? Hope everyone's having a good day today. Hope everyone's enjoying their Wednesday. We're doing a little bit of a late one today. We're only going to go for like maybe an hour and a half. I kind of want to lightly go over today. I was supposed to stream earlier today, but I got really busy. Yeah. Now we are in a moment now where, we're seeing when, we saw some things from Jeffrey Lurie yesterday. I actually really liked the press conference yesterday with him. Besides, all this crazy, this positive talk about Nick Sirianni and how there was no issues and how, he complimented him way too much in that press conference. But obviously with the Reddick situation, he says that it's going in the good direction, in a good way, which is good. So we're actually getting some news from that, at least, that it looks like the Eagles are not. It looks like there's no trade value for Reddick right now. I think a lot that has to do with it right now. Now, Derek Gunn did have a tweet today saying that Reddick still wants a lot of money. The Eagles are not getting the trade compensation they want. And yeah, I feel like Derek Gunn did say it looks like it could go towards HaasonReddick playing on his current contract. Now, the current contract is obviously, he's $21 million against the cap, which I feel the Eagles are gonna give him the Eagles are going to ask him for a restructure his contract for the year. This way they have to get that $11 million in cap space. Okay, that's the number. You get $11 million in cap space, 11 plus $1 million in cap space with a restructure, trade, extension, whatever the case may be with that. All right. So there's a good shot that there's a higher probability now. And I'm glad Howie's not just lowering his price on Reddick for a trade. I'm glad that he's sticking to his price. And it is a second round pick. Okay. It is going in that direction as of right now. It's just, I think good things are to come, dude. I really do. We'll have other questions. We heard about, what he thought about, Jalen Hurts going to this season. Jeffrey Lurie talked about Kellen Moore and, how diverse this offense is going to go, and kind of said that we were kind of too predictable last year, which we all know that he was very pissed off, and I can see in his eyes he was pissed off over, that 7-game stretch last year. Really, the whole season we were trying to figure it out. It wasn't just the last 7 games, guys. Just the last 7 games really proved that we just didn't make any adjustments. I've never seen the NFL team do this. No adjustments, no sense of urgency, just going through the motions and keeping on the same pace you've been going, and that's, I think, one of the bigger problems, that was going forward. So, it's just one of those situations now where, Howie Roseman did say that, I think Jeffrey Lurie, Howie Roseman said that they're, always upgrading the roster, continuing to put more talent here. You know what I mean? And, I think we're going down a good path, man. I think this is a very good offseason so far. Like I said, I don't think they're done with moves. I think, obviously Reddick. I think the safety situation right now is another part of, is something to look into with certain free agents that are still out there right now. And, and you have a whole entire draft. we're looking at all these pro days that are going on. If the Eagles are showing up to some of these guys, how much interest they'll have. So there's a lot going on. There's a lot going on. I want to say hi to everybody in the chat. I know it's a late stream today, so I do apologize if everybody wanted to stream early. What's going on, Shrek Smith? What's going on, man? Let's get this. Let's go on, Webb. Appreciate you making it, man. Yeah, I mean, what I would do, Smith Sauls, what I would really do is I would love to keep HaasonReddick for one more year. I would like to extend them at least a year. If they can do it, if they can pull it off, I would love them to do it. I'd feel a lot better with him for one more year after this year. So, we'll see what happens. What's going on, Tyrese? Chris said, Haas will be here this year. I'm intrigued by Lurie saying there's a big move coming. Yeah, I think so too, man. I think there's a lot of upgrades coming to this roster. I think there is. Yeah, I at this point, Ryan, I think HaasonReddick is coming back. I can't see him not coming back. Look, if L'Jarius Sneed gets traded for a 25 third rounder, Brian Burns is getting traded for a second and then some. At this point, it just seems teams are not budging. Okay, teams are just not budging at this point for, to give the Eagles a second round pick. I don't know. I mean, I wish they can get that. I mean, if it's up to me, I wouldn't trade him at all. But I'm glad Howie's not lowering that price even lower. Go on, Mike. Gabriel, what's up? Ian, what's up? Daguan says they'll extend or restructure Reddick. Yeah, I totally believe it. It's going to be one or the other. Ian says Howie's not done. I spoke to Dennis. Says the comments over Nick Sirianni made me throw my phone. Yeah, I don't know. Like, he said a lot of, I think he went too overboard, but he was pushing it too much. I think he's pushing it way too much on the compliments for Nick. I don't know. They're saying that this was a, I forgot what he said, quote unquote, but he said it was straightforward process and there was no issues, straightforward with everything. Maybe it was. Maybe there was no issues. I can't say that there was no issues in season at the end of the year, but Ghost said thanks Elements for the membership. What happened? Nothing happened? Damon says, I don't understand why we wouldn't endorse Nick. He's been in the playoffs. Well, here's the thing. He's looking at Nick Sirianni's body of work as what he said. He's not looking at what happened the last 7 games. He's looking at the body of work. Because when you look at the body of work of Nick Sirianni, what his record is as a head coach, it's great. It's fantastic. The last 2 years have been fantastic. Besides, the last 7 games, he didn't want to just take the last 7 games and say, oh, all right, we need to make a change of head coach. I think they talked about what was the issue at the end of the year. Especially you lost, the last 7 games, you had issues and you still had a playoff game and still, you still choked it away. You choked away first seed, you choked away second seed, you choked away the division. Eagle Slayer, why is Nick still the head coach? Like I said, I think it's because of the body of work that Nick has done. Because you don't, that in their mind, you don't give up on a coach, because of the end of last season, and pull the trigger that easily. Like I said, Howie did say they are not done. Do you see them making another large move? I mean, large as in a big trade for $100 million deal? No, I'm talking other moves as an upgrades to the roster, which I think the Justin Simmons thing is going to come back sooner or later. Quiet on the safety front, quiet with the guy from the Colts as well. I always forget his name. So there's 2 safeties available right now. two safeties out there right now, and I think the Eagles are still trying to make something happen. So we'll see. Ryan said, I think we all heard something before April 1st or on April 1st. Yeah, I don't think that matters. I don't think that $1 million, I don't think that has anything to do with, I think they just didn't want to pay him because they've been trying to get a trade done. So they'll probably end up paying him that money. We'll see what happens by April 1st, but I don't think it matters. I don't think it's I don't think the April 1st, the roster bonus, they have to give Reddick his $1 million. They moved it to April 1st. So, we'll see. Yeah, the salary cap executive left. So that was some news that came out as well. I forgot his name, but Howie lost his right-hand lieutenant, it looked like, today. Going to go out and try to get a GM job or something. This is the guy. He's like the accountant. He's the team accountant executive or something. So he helps Howie with all these deals. Let me say this, okay? Howie Roseman has lost so many front office guys the last few years, for a while, actually. The Eagles have lost a lot of front office guys. Andrew Berry, the guy that went to the Steelers, Andy Weidel. Andy Weidel went to the Steelers. Andrew Berry went to the Browns. So we'll see. It's been kind of it's just been kind of a roller coaster with the amount of front office people that have left. So we'll see. We'll see. Don, just heard the blockbuster trade between Eagles and the Patriots. AJ for a first this year and next year in 2 seconds. Who would believe that? Who would believe that, dude? Donald Jones says the fire Sirianni and the whole staff would not look good the rest of the league. Yeah, 31 million in cap space still. So some of the other cap numbers have been updated regarding other people's contracts as of right now. I know Chauncey, Braden Mann, a bunch of other contracts, Odin Burks, a bunch of other contracts came out, which have looked pretty damn good, actually. So Chauncey Gardner-Johnson's contract, 3-year deal, is worth up to $33 million. So the incentives are up to $33 million. If all incentives work out, bonuses, game bonuses are met. $10 million fully guaranteed, 4 voided years added to the deal for cap purposes. His cap hits for the next 3 years, counting this year, 2.7 this year, 4 million next year in 25, 5.9 in 26. First 2 years only have guarantees from the team. If he plays all 3 years on the deal, he'll never make more than 1.5% of the cap space for a team. So it's a really good deal. I mean, it's still, the cap numbers are 6 million and 26 is still if he plays at a high level, it's going to be a total steal. Let's see. Braden Mann's contract, a new punter for the Eagles, 2-year deal worth up to 2.8 million fully guaranteed, has nearly 100K workout bonus in 25, 3 voided years add to the deal, makes him around the 15th highest paid punter in the league. Cap hits 1.3 in 24, 2.3 in 25. So that's Braden Mann on his contract. Let's see. Oren Burks' contract, 1 year, 1.5 million base salary, cap hit, $875,000 fully guaranteed. No void years or notable incentives added. Yeah. We got Tyler Hall's contract, a new corner that could end up playing nickel for us this year. It says 1 year worth up to 1.2 million. 1 million cap hit, base salary, $225,000 fully guaranteed, no voided years added. Appears to have a small incentive in-game workout bonus added to his deal. And then you have PJ Mustipher. PJ Mustipher, the new nose tackle for the Eagles. 2 years, worth up to $1.97 million, $125,000 fully guaranteed, no void years added. Small workout bonus after the 24 season. His cap numbers for 24, $928,000. 25, a little over $1 million. That is it. So these contracts are very heavily incentive based. That's what we know about the contracts. Very heavily incentive based. $31.3 million in cap space. The Eagles can free up 11 plus. The Eagles can have up to $40 million in cap space still. Crazy. Mike says, I like to see Milt Williams and Jordan Davis working out together, pushing each other to get better. Yeah, I saw the video a few days ago. All right, Mike, so all these reports, we are out on Simmons. Was there even a report we were on Simmons? Not recently. Well, there was a report that the Eagles backed out on Simmons because of the money, but that was like the first week of free agency. There was a report that the Eagles backed out, but that was it. That was the only report that we had. And we heard nothing ever since then. So, Don says, is there anyone who near the same level as Simmons or Blackman on the safety position who is a free agent? No. There's no more safeties out there. That's like it. There's not much out there right now. Do you believe anything? Do you believe anything Nick says? I don't. I really don't. I have to earn his, like, seriously, like, his trust now is like, it's very little with me. I felt really betrayed at the end of the year as a coach that makes a big salary, and you're supposed to keep these guys uplifted. The way he had these post-game press conferences, the way it really, I looked at Nick in a different light. You want to see two sides to your head coach. When your team is winning, how do you keep them uplifted? How do you keep them going? When it comes down to when your team is losing, like they did, like they were, I'm not talking about they just lost a close game. I'm talking like they got mentally, they just weren't there. And like, I felt like there was a little of excitement going to these games, even when we were losing. And then, like, as soon as one thing happens, it seems like the resiliency just wasn't there. And Jeffrey Lurie talked about that too. He talked about the resiliency not being there either. So I don't believe anything that Nick says. I think Nick is trying to bullshit his way into saying he's got his hand in this offense with Kellen Moore. It's a bunch of bullshit. The one thing I do know that is true is Vic Fangio, that Nick said Vic Fangio has all the power. Like, Vic Fangio is in charge of this defense, running this defense. He will help, and be involved, but Fangio is running his own ship defensively. So that's good. Okay. Offensively is where I get kind of nervous because he's like, he wants to mesh both his schemes together. It's just getting ridiculous at this point. He wants to mesh both his schemes, and the only scheme you should be meshing is the push-tush and Kellen Moore's offense. Other than that, I'm not looking at anything else saying that they should. No, not happening. Not happening. He'll say it won't matter if these coaches don't utilize the players right. Well, yeah, it's with every team, dude. It's with every team. It doesn't matter, but what, we shouldn't be excited about it? Why we have to be dark, gloomy, and fucking depressed every day because we lost the Super Bowl. I mean, we could have been depressed after that time. You get these Eagle fans that come out and they're just negative the whole offseason. What does it matter if they do this? What does it matter? It's just they made a lot of changes. As long as they made the changes, I'm fine. You know what I mean? That's all that matters to me. What's going on, Eagles? You heard about P. Diddy? Yeah, I did. It's all over Twitter. So he was plenty of cap space to get valuable players. We're not done yet. Kyle Kokoro says Eddie Jackson's out there, but he hasn't played well in a few years. I mean, it's been a while. He hasn't really played yet well since his second year of his career under Vic Fangio. So the difference between getting a guy like Eddie Jackson and Justin Simmons is Justin Simmons is playing at an all-pro level right now. Okay, and that's really it. I mean, it just comes down to better play. And Eddie Jackson, not really a big fan. All right, Mike says Nick too fraudulent. Like you said, his pressures last year were painful. They were, man. Eagles Live versus why is everyone such a rush to get rid of AJ? We haven't had a stud like that. That's how Eagle fans are just ungrateful, dude. That's the name of the game. Eagle fans are probably the most ungrateful fans because when things are going way too good, it's still an issue. When things are going so bad, that's just how it is. Bourne said, what up, Joey? Pretty decent offseason so far, but I can't wait for the draft to add more talent. Everyone's screaming Cooper, but please don't sleep on Peyton Wilson. This dude is serious. Big Bird. What's going on? Yeah, I mean, I've heard a lot of good things about Peyton Wilson. Cooper DeJean is going to be interesting. I wonder if Howie, coming off that broken fibula, because he's going to start working. He's just starting to work out, like, not too long. Like, he's going to be working out. His pro day, I think, is April 8th. Cooper DeJean is going to be really interesting because Howie might think that he's going to get Cooper DeJean on a bargain. So maybe he does move down the first or maybe out of the first. So I'm not really sure. Really kind of, I guess, depends on. I guess it really just depends on. It depends on where he's. It depends on where they're at with him and who's better on the board at that moment. So. I guess we'll find out. We'll see. Really, his pro day is going to make a big difference on how he looks. But we'll see. Eagle says, AJ is great. I want to keep him, but we're going to extend Smith. So in a few years, he will most likely be gone. Yeah, I mean, that's where I kind of have it at right now. I don't think there's too much to look into it. I think Smitty gets his $25+ million deal. AJ Brown is probably going to reset the market in a couple of years. So... at least, this year and after next year, he's going. After next year, he's gone, I think. So I think he's going to reset the market, and we'll see. We'll see what happens. But that's why I don't have the Eagles. Like, I can have the Eagles maybe drafting a receiver this year after the first round. Like, if they want to get like a receiver, not only could be a wide receiver 3 this year, but a guy that could be in that position for a couple of years while AJ Brown is here and be that number 2. Or an extra number 1, depending on who they get. If they get a big receiver with speed, if they get a Donovan Mitchell from Texas, if they get a Xavier Legette from South Carolina, like a big receiver, a lot of speed, plenty. There's a few guys out there that I would definitely get if they want to get that future guy. Produce a guy now, wide receiver 3, but get him as a future guy going forward if AJ Brown leaves. So you're not looking for that guy later on and has production under his belt. Unless you want to go in this year, and I think the Eagles are still going after receiver this year. I still think they're going to go past the first round and get somebody. If they want to go a pure wide receiver 3, if that's where they want to go with Ricky Purcell from Florida, if they want to, get Lad McConkey from Georgia. Like there's a lot of these. Xavier Worthy has been the name everybody's talking about with Philadelphia. I don't know why. I do like Xavier Worthy a lot, but I'd be kind of shocked they actually get him. I feel like, I want to see what Xavier Worthy does in an NFL season, and I think it would be exciting. So, what's going on? Heard the head. What's going on, dude? It's a Philly thing, so I don't want Justin Simmons. He's 30 years old. 30 is not old, dude. 30 is not old for a safety. Like, it's not. So, unfortunately, you're going to have 30-year-olds on this team. It's going to happen. And the Eagles don't have many of them on this roster. So, if safety is a spot they're not going to go after in the draft early, then they could sign a guy that has good connections with the scheme. Okay. They can have a guy that's obviously connected to Vic Fangio in a lot of ways. So I think it's a win-win for the Eagles. It's going to be a 1-year deal. I don't see it. Man, it could be a 2. I would say most likely it'll be a 1-year type thing, because the safety market has plummeted after Jesse Bates got signed last offseason to the Falcons from the Bengals. He was another guy that, he had a big increase, $17 million a year for safety. And then the price hasn't really moved from the market, because Xavier McKinney got paid 17. I don't think anyone's got paid more than 17 million at the safety spot when it comes to the market. I don't think so. You know what I mean? So we'll see. We got Shrek Smith. What's going on, man? He says, appreciate Superman. He says, these past 2 weeks have been fun streams. They make my day at work go fast. I've been a subscriber since 2019. I'm an Eagles fan from Texas. My family are Cowboys fans. Thank God my brothers are Eagles fans. Well, dude, like, damn, that's a mixed up family right there, dude. But holding it down in Texas, holding it down for the Philadelphia Eagles in Texas is great. And 2019, man, that's a long time, dude. Appreciate you sticking around for this long, and appreciate you being a member, and appreciate it so much for all the support, dude. It means a lot. It means so much. Shrek, appreciate it, man. Shrek always shows up, man. Shrek always shows up, and I know Shrek's always listening and always watching. So thank you so much, dude. It means the world, man. Beyond. It does. It means the world. Chris Scott says, Nick better stay away from play calling. That's what I'm hoping. In a perfect world, that's where I'm really hoping right now. I don't like the certain things. I think either he is just saying things to make himself look like to the media that he's involved with the offense, that he's involved in the play calling. But honestly, it's like, it's okay to be a hands-off coach. It's fine. There's hands-off coaches out there, that are successful and let their coordinators have control and do their thing. I don't believe Nick is going to have a lot of say in this offense. I feel like he will be involved just to see what's going on. But when it comes down to it, I think Kellen Moore is going to run it. And I think when it comes to situational football, if Sirianni needs to make changes in game, then that's what he will do. But you're not hiring a Kellen Moore. I mean, even Jeffrey Lurie said we respect Kellen Moore. And I mean, look, by the way, Jeffrey Lurie talked about how the offense, with Kellen Moore, you're going to get something that's going to be a diverse type offense. It's not going to be predictable. That's what I wanted to hear from Jeffrey Lurie. And I think Nick is blowing smoke up everyone's ass saying how involved he's going to be. I think it's just trying to make him look good, that he's going to be doing something. And that's really it. That's all I can really say from that perspective of Nick saying how involved he's going to be. And, because trust me, we'll find out if he's involved in the play calling. It won't be hard to figure out. We know Nick's mind and how he runs this offense. Okay? We know. We know. Kyle said, Josanne Newton would be a ridiculous in our 3-4 with Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter. Yeah, I've heard his name before, I think. Philly fan says 30-year-old is not 30-year-old, still have the same energy as 24. Oh, yeah. I mean, Malcolm Jenkins is a perfect example of that. Like, Malcolm Jenkins hit his 30s when he was with us, Like, Malcolm was the Band-Aid to our defense. Like, Malcolm Jenkins was that type of player that covered up our defense in Band-Aids, that didn't expose us, because without him, I don't know if we would have won. I don't even know if we would have won a Super Bowl without him, to be honest with you. I think he kept the defensive line in check. I think he kept everybody accountable. Donald says, Fangio's defense is very complicated. When played, it is a killer, especially to young quarterbacks. Yeah, because you could disguise with a defense, an off-ball coverage type scheme like this, you could disguise a lot of things in your secondary. But you have to be athletically sound, and you have to have good edge rushers, and you need to have linebackers that are athletically really good. So take some time, man, because with the right players in the building, I think they've made a lot of changes so far, and I think there's a lot more to come when it comes to this defense. I think good things are going to happen. Leon says, I don't need Nick Cohen plays. Let Kellen Moore do what he's hired him for a reason. Yeah, I don't. The way that Jeffrey Lurie talked about Kellen Moore, I don't think he said. I still don't believe this. Because he said these two things. He said, "Oh, it was Nick's. Nick was really high on Kellen Moore, but but then he changed it and he was like, oh well, we thought we really praised Kellen Moore. We know he has a lot of respect around the league. So I think it's bullshit. I think they just want to get the media off Nick's back from last season." And I think it's just more questions coming like that. More answers we're getting like that on Nick Sirianni doing this and doing that. Oh, it was his idea. And oh, he did this for us. And I think the front office has wanted Kellen Moore in the building really since 21. If you guys remember, like Kellen Moore actually interviewed for the head coaching job in 21. Eagle Slayer says, I think the 22-6 has a stuck with Nick too much that he shouldn't be rocket science either. I think he got really cocky. I think he got really conceited after the 22 season. He said, oh, I could run this offense. Never took plays from Shane Steichen's playbook. You gave play calling away. And then you gave yourself play calling back. Not, even though he wasn't holding the clipboard, it was Nick's game plan. You know what I mean? So that is what really annoys me. You know what I mean? You got so cocky about, I can handle this offense and I can just do my own thing with it. You can have great talent on your offense. You still had in a bad offense the way they played. I mean, seriously. You still had two 1,000-yard receivers and a 1,000-yard running back. The ceiling is off the charts when it comes to what they could have done. And I just don't want them to fuck it up this year and waste a whole entire offseason, all these moves, the draft, everything, because you're not going to produce. Because with a bad scheme, you're not going to produce players. You're not going to put the players in good position. You're going to set all these players up to fail. Every position is flawed. It was last year. No, not one dominating game from the offense last year. It hurts, man. It hurts. This is a playoff caliber team. Okay, we know this. Okay, this team's in the playoffs almost every year. We almost expect them to be, What's going on, Suo? Johnson, our first HaasonReddick on Denver for Surtain is my dream. I'll keep dreaming, bro. Cause keep dreaming. But no, I don't think. I have a video out coming tomorrow. I have a video coming out tomorrow that explains why the Eagles are going to be trading for a cornerback. The news that came out on Bradbury yesterday and why it's been so quiet with Bradbury. I'm telling you right now, it's going to get. The Philadelphia Eagles are going to be doing something at corner, and I think Bradbury is going to be gone. We'll see, but Nate says, what's with his posture and what's with the meandering way he answers questions now? Why did he always do that? Who are you talking about? You talking about Nick or Jeffrey Lurie? All right, Mike's a prediction. Nick will be fired before the trade deadline for not letting Moore call his own plays. I really hope that's not the case. I hope they don't start the season out like that because that's going to be really bad. Leon said our offense needs to be creative and unpredictable. I'm like, well, that's what Jeffrey Lurie wants. That's what Jeffrey Lurie wants. That was the main thing that Jeffrey Lurie said about Kellen Moore coming in. He's like, our offense was too predictable last year. I forgot what the two words he said. He said something about, not diverse, but you know what I mean. Something that's not predictable. And that's going to make a difference there. Donald says Sirianni will be a game manager, situational first down challenges. He should stay in that realm a little bit. That's it. Drew said Nick is an offensive coach, definitely going to be involved in the offense to some extent, but I don't think he will call plays. No. He didn't call plays last year, but he made the game plan for for Brian Johnson to call. Let's see. Don says if Nick leaves, I'd be surprised if any team would be invite as an OC to his team. I think the number one thing they need is, they need a head coach that calls plays. The good thing about Kellen Moore, and Kellen Moore's not a rah-rah type coach. That's the only problem that I have with him being a head coach, because he's too passive. He's an X's and O's smart ass. That's what he is. He's got a personality, no doubt, but he's very to himself at times, and, we'll see what happens, but that's the only downfall of Kellen Moore becoming the head coach. I think you always want to keep and even Colin Cowherd said it the best last year at the end of last year. Or at the end of the season, the off season, when the season just ended for the Eagles, Colin Cowherd had a show on the Eagles, and he said, like, when you lose your head coach, or if you lose a coordinator, okay, you always got to keep your scheme in-house. Always got to keep that in-house. When you lose a coordinator, things shouldn't completely change. And I totally agree with that. It shouldn't. And that's why Nick never took plays from Shane Steichen's playbook. Never did he hang around with Shane Steichen when doing, making these plays for the offense. I don't know, but he took absolutely nothing from it. Why wouldn't you take certain aspects of 22 and put it into your 23 season? That's a big problem going forward. Shelly says, Sticky Nicky fingers on the sideline looking like the mustache henchman from Bugs. Yeah, he's and even Jeffrey Lurie talked about his emotions on the sideline. Sometimes it can get him in trouble. I mean, he was being honest. Sometimes they'll get him in trouble. Sometimes it doesn't, but he wants Nick to be himself. He doesn't want to control anybody to be something that he's not, or something that he should be, but he's not. There's no handcuffs. Nobody's handcuffed in this organization when it comes to the front office, when it comes to the coach, when it comes to the players. They want everybody to have their personalities. J62 Moon, what's going on, man? He says, do you think that Kobe Dean and Nolan Smith are undersized? I think they both are. Nolan Smith, I just feel like he's, you're not going to be a pure edge rusher in this scheme, but I think with Nolan Smith, I think he's going to bulk up. I mean, he only had one off season with the Eagles so far. So I think he will bulk up a little bit. He will be an outside linebacker for this team. I think a lot of good things are going to happen with him. I think he's going to fit in very well. Look, he got hurt a couple times last year. And unfortunately with Nakobe Dean, he just he didn't get enough playing time. Sean Desai had this stupid excuse early in the year. He's like, oh, there's only a certain amount of snaps you can get. It's like, dude, this is your first round pick, dude. I mean, this is your first round pick. This isn't just some like a fifth rounder, like you're trying to get into a rotation. Derek Barnett was taking his snaps, so I get it, but he got some play calling later on, but I think it was just a bunch of bullshit, man. Like they should have played him a lot more. Nakobe Dean I don't know what Nakobe Dean is, because he's got no availability right now. Guy's always hurt. I mean, 3 injuries in 1 year, IR, but was on the IR 2 times. I'm glad they brought in Zach Bond. I'm glad they brought in Odenbergs. I'm glad they brought in Devin White. Devin White, I am excited about going into this season. I feel really good going into the season with Devin White. I'm a big Devin White fan, and I'm loving it. We got Nifty 350 with Super Chat. What's going on, man? Hope you're having a good day. This is Sharon and I talking about being close with players as if it's Pee-wee football. These are grown men with contracts who've been playing. Yeah, I mean, I could understand like you want your team to be close, but that's not what it's all about. These guys have you're not going to have players that are close and coaches to players that are close if you're playing at this level right now. You know what I mean? It's not going to happen. You're not going to, he's too emotional with that. He's too sentimental with that. I feel like it comes down to guys getting paid and guys playing at the top of their ability. And if you can't do that, how is the team supposed to be close, period? That's a whole different story, which I totally get. You know what I mean? I watched Nick's. I watched everything Nick has said, and it's just like he says some things that just are just out of whack. Just like he's too like he talks all this camaraderie and we got to stick together, and it's just like, dude, like. It's way more than that. Like you can't have shitty coaches, shitty play calling, shitty coaches, and expect these players. I mean, you're lucky that players didn't demand trades this offseason. You're lucky that a lot of players didn't demand trades, because I'm telling you right now, like, he almost lost that fucking locker room. He lost it last year, but he didn't lose the players completely. But it was pretty damn close, though. It was pretty close, though. What with a super chat? Thank you so much, man. He says, you said it yourself. They got Doug P out of here. If they wanted Nick gone this season, he'd be gone. Would he not? Look, 100%. Doug Peterson wanted more control of his offense, his hirings, his coaching staff. This is the real story, okay? Nick is more of a puppet. Doug was not a puppet after the Super Bowl. After we were getting to the last year of his deal, before the 21 season, obviously, at the end of 2020, okay? Doug wanted to hire his coaches in-house. He wanted Matt Burks as the DC. Remember, Jim Schwartz's right-hand man was Matt Burks. That was the defensive line assistant, or defensive assistant with the Eagles that year. He wanted Matt Burks as the DC. He wanted Taylor, whatever his name was. Why am I forgetting his name? He wanted Taylor as the offensive coordinator. Jeffrey Lurie met with Doug. Doug set his plan, and Jeffrey Lurie didn't like it. Jeffrey Lurie wanted to hire more guys outside the box, and Doug said no, because at the end of the day, Doug was like, I don't need to be here. If I don't get what I want, I'm going to go to another team. I'm going to take off the year, and I'm going to get another job elsewhere. So that's what happened. So when it came to Nick, they said, "Hey, if you want to stay with the Eagles, you're gonna have to fire your coordinators, and we need a new body of work when it comes to this coaching staff." The way the season ended was atrocious. It was Sorry, Press Taylor. Thank you, Bobby Murphy. It was more serious than what Jeffrey Lurie is saying it wasn't. That it was straightforward. It probably was straightforward. And yeah, they were probably straightforward to the point, like, dude, like, you don't fire your coordinators, you're gone. You know? I don't blame Doug, because I think Doug should have had more, but I didn't really like that plan at all, because he brought, and that he wanted Press Taylor as OC, because Press Taylor became the OC, his first year. You know what I mean? I think with the Jags, I think he was with him his first year, or he at least went to Jacksonville his first year. So there was an ultimatum involved, and I'm glad that Jeffrey Lurie, as an owner, put his foot down. Howie Roseman put his foot down, and that's it, because Howie and Nick were working on this offseason when it came to the coaching hires. It wasn't Nick didn't have all of the control this offseason. They wanted Vic Fangio here. He was well respected here. And Kellen Moore, I think the Eagles have wanted him the last few seasons, the last few years, to be honest with you. So that's all I gotta say about that, bro. Appreciate the super chat. Much love, man. Nate D with super chat. Thank you so much, man. He says, we need Cooper DeJean and a future linebacker. Dean sucks. Yeah, I mean, look, I'm not gonna say that Dean sucks right now. I need to see. But the problem is, if he gets hurt again this year, I'm completely done. I'm already kind of done right now, because he's just missing way too much time. Like, if he misses another offseason program, he's finished. There's no way. The least thing you should be missing right now is the offseason program. So Cooper DeJean is going to be interesting, because he's coming off that broken fibula. April 8th, he's going to have his pro day. I feel like Howie is, and he's the only corner right now. Right now, he's the only cornerback coming in for a pre-draft visit right now. Okay? I think because with that broken fibula, maybe he won't look as great at his pro day. We'll see. But he's a hybrid player that can play multiple positions. He would have a lot of value in a Vic Fangio scheme, no doubt. Okay? Yes, he's white. He's a white cornerback. I know people are, that's the biggest thing with him is he's a white dude that nobody wants. I get it, okay? Because that seems like that's what everybody's talking about. Cooper DeJean's like, oh, he's white. You don't draft him. I think it's funny. But we'll see. Barry Marshall 38 with Super Chat. Thank you so much, man. He says, I absolutely do not believe nobody's handcuffed in this organization. That's complete BS. No, I don't think. No, nobody's handcuffed. No, I think everybody. I think Jeffrey Lurie allows everybody to do what the hell how they want to act and how they want to carry themselves. So. Nick with Super Chat, thank you so much, man. Says, really want Ricky Pearsall, but if he comes for a wide receiver 3, he most likely will return punts too, and there won't be any point in having Covey. Well, maybe Covey's just not. Covey is not a starting receiver in the league. It doesn't mean they can't. Covey's cheap right now. It doesn't matter just because usually the wide receiver 3 has to kick return or punt return, and no, it's if they're gonna hire, but they can either draft a guy for the future. If maybe they draft a bigger receiver, like I said earlier in the stream, maybe they go draft a Donovan Mitchell, maybe they draft Xavier Legette or something like that, a big body with speed, for the future. I don't believe Paris Campbell is their final answer right now. I think they'll have great depth at receiver this year. But I still think they're definitely targeting a receiver somewhere in this draft. Wide receiver 3s are not hard to find, but if you're looking for an AJ replacement potentially in a couple years, then you go down that route if that's where you want to go. That's how I kind of look at it going forward. Jim, what's up, Jim? BMX, what's going on? I said, what up, Joey? I was asking the same questions why Nick didn't keep anything from Titans playbook. That worked the last season. Really arrogant move by him. It clearly backfired, but I think he knows now. Yeah, I think he has learned of his mistakes as a head coach. And we'll see what happens. I think Jeffrey Lurie laid the law down. I think he really did. I'm actually really proud of Jeffrey Lurie that he did that. As much as I know he says certain things to get the media off some of the coaches' back, I think with Nick's back as well. Jeffrey Lurie was prepared for some of these questions. There's no doubt about it. What he's thinking before, a few days before, like what questions are going to be asked. Of course, all these questions are going to be asked about Nick, and what was the process of hiring Nick back, and why didn't you get rid of there was. Trust me, yeah, he had everything prepared for that. They Marshall 38 with Super Chat. Thank you so much, man. He says, you misunderstood my statement. Everyone in their organization definitely has handcuffs on. Why would you think they like puppets? It's the one thing. No, I mean, I don't like that. I mean, it just depends on how they go about, like, if they're going to if they handcuff certain things, and whether you think that, Nick, to be honest with you, I think Nick needs to be handcuffed, because I don't think letting Nick do what he wants, I don't think is going towards a positive direction. That's why I think the ultimatum was pretty much like, hey, like, you do what we say this offseason and you can keep your job. I mean, it wasn't said like that, but I'm just kind of just summarizing it. Because Nick didn't do anything on his own. He didn't hire the coordinators. He didn't hire the assistant coaches. Kellen Moore and Vic Fangio hired their own assistant coaches. And then when it comes to these players, Howie Roseman, Jeffrey Lurie. And Jeffrey Lurie, unfortunately, we found out, even with Paris Campbell, like Paris Campbell was supposed to be the Eagles' second-round pick in 2019. And unfortunately, Jeffrey Lurie has another problem because really since Nick got here, Jeffrey Lurie has backed off a little bit when it came to what schools they should draft. Like, we didn't draft from SEC schools. We didn't draft SEC talent from college. He picked J.J. Arcega-Whiteside over Paris Campbell, okay, in the second round. Over Joe Douglas, over Howie Roseman. I think by the time they hired Nick in 21, Jeffrey Lurie backed off and let Nick, and we used to blame Howie for a lot of these little things, okay? Who knows how many more draft picks Jeffrey Lurie over-vetoed, over-controlled, picked over his two, and Joe Douglas and Howie Roseman. If it was just that pick, it probably was a lot more picks that were bad, and we were shitting on Howie for a lot of things. And I think we're starting to see Howie really flourish. We only seen Howie do one good thing, and that's been like a good cap wizard. But other than that, we just never saw him draft well. So, and we've hit on the draft the last few years. So, Big Marshall Super Chat says Douglas himself won a Super Bowl and was fired for there's the proof. No, I look. I understand that 100%. I understand that 100%. Did I like the plan that Doug brought to Did I like the plan that Doug brought to Jeffrey Lurie on who he wanted to hire? He wanted to keep everything in-house. Not really, because why does Matt Burke get a defensive coordinator job? What has he done in the league? He's worked well with Jim Schwartz, but that was like it. Unfortunately, there were times during the season where, they want to give the play calling to Press Taylor, and, Doug wasn't a good enough play caller. But I think part of it was, these coaches have meetings every single week after every game for every week. And I think things are changed. And, Doug thought that he deserved just more control, and, the Eagles wouldn't give it to him. I wasn't necessarily great with his plan. I didn't really agree with it too much, but I think it depends on where you're at in your franchise. I think, Jeffrey Lurie did some bad things too. I think, your Super Bowl winning head coach is not here, and it sucks, but it just depends who they want to handcuff and who they don't want to handcuff. Nick, they should have, and they should have, last year they should have. But this, with Doug Peterson, maybe they should have went with him one more year to see what he would have done. But the front office telling you to do one thing and you don't do it, then, you're out the door. And, he goes to the Jags, and he doesn't really have a good first year with the Jags. Didn't have a good first year here either. There was promise. I don't think they have the quarterback over there. I think they have a good roster this year. I think they went out and got some good free agents, but it's all about putting it together at the end of the day. So we'll see how Doug does. I don't think there's a lot of GMs that aren't like Howie Roseman. There's a lot of GMs out there that they're not fantastic. Okay. You have a quarterback getting paid a franchise number right now, and you're able to move these numbers, and you're able to extend contracts, and you're able to get guys at a really good price in free agency and drafting really well and still having good draft assets. I mean, Howie Roseman has done well with less cap. I mean, this year we started out with $46.5 million in cap space, and imagine we always thought to ourselves before the offseason started, we're like, man, what is it going to look like with Howie Roseman not only having picks, but having more money on top of it, more flexibility for Howie to be more comfortable doing things. But the thing is with Howie Roseman, you got to respect him for taking shots, sacrifices. You have to respect him for maneuvering all the time, not only for this year, but for next year. Always to the next year. He always tries to do things for the next year as well. Like this draft, he'll trade a pick for a draft pick, and he'll trade a pick in this draft for a pick in 25, whether it's a 5th or a 6th. But, you know, like, Howie's always maneuvering, and that's why I ran into a bunch of Cowboy fans that said, man, like, you know, Howie Roseman's a good GM. Like, he doesn't stop moving. I have to give him respect. You guys haven't won a Super Bowl since 17, but he's always moving. And that's, you know, that's all that matters, you know. Nifty 350D with Super Chat. Thank you so much, man. Says Caucasian Cooper should be back up a starter, not Rick. Caucasian Cooper should back up a starter, not Rick. No, I mean, I don't think both of those guys should be backing up anybody, really. But, you know. Suo with Super Chat, thank you so much, man. It's Cooper, DeJean, or Nate Wiggins at 22. I want Coop. I like Cooper a lot. I know a lot of people with Nate Wiggins, they talk about his frame. He's got a small frame. Plays real hard. I like both of these guys. I think Nate Wiggins has really good coverage ability, like really good. Tackling's pretty good. Cooper DeJean might bring more value to the Eagles because he could play multiple positions. You could throw him wherever you want. He doesn't need to be at a specific position. I think it gives the Eagles more more opening to do more things with Cooper DeJean. They could get Cooper DeJean at a high rate, at a cheaper rate, because coming off this injury, to see where he's going to be drafted. He might be a steal. He might make it out of the first round. You never know. We'll see how the what's it called? The pro day is going to go on April 8th with him. The Eagles will definitely be in attendance for that. There's no doubt. Elaine says, my God, will somebody shut Sills the hell up? I'm so tired of him bashing our Eagles and play. I don't watch it. I don't know why you guys watch it. And that's what he wants. Like, that's what keeps you guys engaged. Like, you guys watch this shit. The only time I find out about what Sills says is either because somebody else follows him on Twitter that I follow and puts up clips of him, or it's you guys that just watch him. Like, that's what he wants. Like, he wants you guys to be pissed off. He wants you guys to get, you know, TR, you know, IGGERED, you know, I can't say that on YouTube too much, but that's what he wants, man. He wants you guys to get pissed off over stuff, and that's just the way it goes, you know. 9350 with Super Chat, thank you so much, man. So Eli Ricks is 6'2", 185 and runs 4'6". Looks similar corners, running 4.3 that size. I get technique is important, but he is a liability one-on-one. I don't, like I said, like he's shown very little flash. I think Ringo has shown more flash. You know, coverage needs to be a little bit better. His back tracking needs to be a little bit better with his body movement. Sometimes he becomes a statue at times. He gets turned around a little too late. But I feel Rick showed a little bit of flash. The Miami game against Tyreek Hill for a few. You know, these guys can't play on the inside. Okay, Rick's can't play on the inside. Ringo can't. So you bring in that Tyler Hall kid that I think potentially. I mean, we'll see what he does. Zach McPherson is coming off an ACL injury. You know, we'll see what happens with all that. But you know, we'll. I think the depth is perfect going into camp, and if they add another body to it, which they definitely will add another corner, there's no doubt about it. I'm just trying to figure out, like, what's the main reason with Bradbury staying where he is right now? And what Jeffrey Lurie said about Isaiah Rodgers, that he's definitely in their plans this year, it's almost showing to me that they're not rushing the Bradbury thing right now just because there's just a lot of time on our side. There is time on our side right now with it, and if they're gonna make a move, if they're gonna draft a guy and they want to make a move in house, like what if they want to draft Cooper DeJean and they want to put him at the nickel spot? You know, what if they want to make Isaiah Rodgers the number 2 to slay this year? You know, like I feel like it could be one of those in-house type moves that they want to do. So technically, sure. That's what I'm kind of waiting on right now. That's where I kind of am right now. We got Sue Blaze Super Chat. Thank you so much, man. It says Cooper is an elite zone coverage. Imagine Chauncey Gardner-Johnson and Cooper all over the field. Getting picks would be scary. Both ball hawks. I have no issue with drafting Cooper DeJean. No issue at all. That's why I feel like not only can you draft Cooper DeJean, but if you get a Justin Simmons in this scheme right now that he fits very well, playing at an all-pro level still. Okay, you got two ball hawks on the backside, and you have a guy that can cover a lot of field with his athleticism with Cooper DeJean. I think you're gonna look really good, man. You're gonna look really good going forward. So I'm impressed as much as you are. Tommy 5 said, my biggest fear is becoming more and more likely Sirianni weaseling his way into the offense scheme. F the passion he has for he has Lurie. Nick doesn't know the X and O's. Get him out of here. Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I mean, it necessarily doesn't mean that he has to leave, but it means that, like, if the Eagles like are 2-4 at the beginning of the season, then it's not gonna be good. Then I feel like, yeah, if our losses are outweighing our wins the first 5-6 games, then I think he has to go, and I think he has a lot to do with it, because there's no way that Kellen Moore is going to look that bad. Okay, I'm not gonna take the bait. Last year, early in the season, I was like, Brian Johnson needs more time, because we didn't really think that Brian Johnson was next to Shane Steichen. I thought he would open the playbook a lot more, and I never thought Nick would take over play calling fully or his full game plan. Okay, the only reason we found out about this whole thing with Nick Sirianni during the season was Dave Spadaro was asking questions we're opening up questions for the fans. And so one of the fans answered one of the fans asked, what's the percentage of Nick Sirianni's involvement in this offense? Is he involved? And Dave Spadaro, I forgot what week of the season this was, but it was like middle of the season. And Dave Spadaro was like, yeah, he's like, oh, this is Nick's game plan. Everybody works around Nick's game plan, and then Brian Johnson carries that game plan out, and he has the play calling duties. I'm like, what? I'm like, so we're not even bringing anything from Shane Steichen last year, but you're having Brian Johnson as like another puppet scapegoat coach that is just holding a clipboard of what Nick wants, and Nick is just up and down the sidelines, not saying anything, just arms crossed, being pissed off. Like, it was just, man, that was bad to hear. After hearing Spadaro say that, I was like, what? It's his game plan fully, and the coordinators piggyback off of Nick's game plan? I mean, that just turned me off. I'm like, no wonder we're playing like shit. No wonder this playbook looks like it has 10 plays in it on one page. So God, it's horrible. And then after that, I was like, no wonder. Appreciate it, Superman. Elaine says, yeah, you're right. I'm just short fused with this dude. I look at it because sometimes his guests are interesting, and then he goes and turns it all around. When he's with people, he's not as bad. When he's by himself, he's the worst. When he's with people, he's like, oh, he'll listen to people's, he won't attack people. He won't attack like guests or anything like that. That's how it goes. That's what you get paid for, dude. Like, that's what it is. Nifty 3 review through chat. Thank you so much, man. It says Ringo would be a safety with a lot of range. That position is covered, but I don't see him having the finesse, but having straight line speed. Yeah, I think that's a little bit of that's, like I said, I think that's the problem. I think his backtrack speed isn't great. Like I said, I think he gets turned around. I think his body movement is too late in coverage at times, where he sticks out like a sore thumb, as a statue at some points. So I get it. So we'll give it time. You know what I mean? Like, I thought the first two games with with Keely Ringo are actually under Patricia are actually really good. I thought he played very well those 2 games. When he actually practiced with the team as a starter for the week and not got thrown into that first Cowboys game and he like looked like a fucking disaster. So it's kind of crazy. Nettie was rich. I think so much, man. It says, why would Nick throw his hires under the bus? Well, dude, it's not throwing his hires under the bus. It's just, I mean, there's always a scapegoat. There's always that scapegoat. You're trying to shift the blame somewhere else. Like I don't believe that Nick asked Howie to fire or to demote Sean Desai, and then Howie was like, yeah, I think they somewhat tried to collaboratively figure out what was going on. But I mean, the defense was a problem, but the offense was a bigger problem. I mean, both of it was a problem. So I'm not going to go out and say that. I mean, I think Howie and Jeffrey Lurie let things roll, and to see what Nick would do, what changes he would make, and he didn't do much of anything. There wasn't anybody that could take over Nick Sirianni's play calling. Unfortunately, there wasn't anybody. There was way too many young coaches around. There's nobody with experience to take over Nick's play calling, and he was kind of stuck with it. He buried himself. Simple as that. But I didn't like how Brian Johnson got the blame. I don't think we even got a full game what Brian Johnson could have brought to this team. It's a shame, but it's unfortunate. Times that Kellen has orchestrated top offense for several years and just got Keenan Allen his best year ever, which is true. Yeah, let's not give a guy like the full control of the offense, Nick. Yeah, I think Nick is just saying all this shit because I think Nick is trying to make himself look involved to the media. He's trying to tell the media, like, look, I'm really involved in what I'm doing, and I think that's for show. I think it's a pony show. I don't think it's like realistic. I think Nick has no control over what's going on. Kellen Moore is not going to ruin his own. Let me tell you something. Kellen Moore has to agree to being here. If he's not going to just. He's not just going to find out now. Kellen Moore's not just going to find out now that Nick's going to be heavily involved. Okay, Kellen Moore's coming to this team and saying, "Hey, I want this, and this," and the Eagles are going to say, "Look, I want you to do this, and can you do this for us?" And that's it. We're going to find out. This is going to be the best roster that Kellen Moore has ever coached offensively. Now you got Saquon Barkley in the backfield. I mean, just imagine how much of a receiving back Saquon Barkley's going to be. And by the way, like Saquon Barkley, he was on New Heights and talked about not only there was a lot of teams that offered, there was a few teams that offered him some big deals. Okay. But most of these teams they didn't just value him as a runner. They valued him not as a bruiser. They valued him, okay, as a 3-down back that is a pass catcher, that is a receiving back in this league. And I'm telling you right now, like if Austin Eckler is not even close to what Saquon is, okay, because I think Austin Eckler he's all right, but I don't think he's, I just don't think he's amazing. But I'm shaking my leg, dude. Chill. I'm shaking my leg. I'm just, it's just this whole process has just been insane. Like, I didn't know how many changes were going to be made this offseason. And it seems like there were a good amount. And, as long as some changes were made, I had no issue. I had no problem. So that's where I'm at right now. So that's where we're at. But we have 240 in the chat, and make sure you subscribe to the channel for Eagles news every single day. We'll have a video out tomorrow. We'll have a membership video out tomorrow. Make sure, you like up the stream like crazy. I think we only have like 90 likes to the stream. Make sure you like up the stream like crazy. Thank you so much for joining. It's going to be a short one today, so I might go a couple more minutes. I only want to go like an hour, a little bit over an hour, not much today. If you guys haven't checked out the memberships for extra content, draft highlight reactions, all that stuff, we're going to have, even not just for the draft, but during the season, we're going to have a lot of behind the scenes stuff, a lot of other stuff I'll do on the memberships that I don't normally do on YouTube, that will probably get copyrighted like like crazy. Definitely check out the memberships as well. A lot of people have been grabbing like crazy at the memberships, and it's been pretty good. So appreciate everybody's been enjoying the content over there. So if you guys want to join up, just hit the link in the pinned comment or the live chat right now for the extra content. Doesn't matter what tier it is for support. It's just for extra content. It's there if anybody wants it. So I appreciate it so much. We will have a stream tomorrow early in the day, so we will be set and ready to go. Set and ready to go. Nithy with the super chat, thank you so much, man. He said, will Moore replace Nick eventually, you think? I think I've said this a million times on the Shakedown. I've said this a million times in videos. I think this is set up for Kellen Moore to be the next head coach. So that's where I'm at right now. Do I think he's a perfect candidate for a players coach standpoint? Probably not. But as a play caller standpoint, sure. That's where I'm kind of at. Shane says, Joey, what is the trade? Appreciate the super, by the way. Shane, what is the trade with Reddick looking like? Right now, it's looking like they can't trade him at all because Howie Roseman has got a second-round pick that he's targeting. Okay, for a trade. It looks like the Eagles are not getting the draft compensation. So it looks like, from what Jeffrey Lurie said yesterday on, it's looking pretty good. So what Jeffrey Lurie said the other day, it's looking like that Reddick's going to be back on a restructured contract, or I'm hoping a 1-year extension of some sort of some kind. That's what I'm kind of hoping right now. That's what I'm kind of hoping at the moment. It's not looking like a trade is going down. Howie Roseman's not going to lessen his price. I'm glad that he's not, because they know how valuable Reddick is to this franchise. And what it sounded like from Jeffrey Lurie yesterday, like I said, I think there's a lot more going on. I think we're in good contention right now to have Reddick back on a restructured deal. That's where I'm kind of at right now with the whole situation. So it's good. It's a good sign that he could be coming back. Desiree Salad Super Chat, thank you so much, man. It says the cornerback position is about to be devalued because of tackling rules. I don't know if that's going to be the case, but it's already going to be a problem. The kickoffs are going to be a problem this year. And this hip tackle rule is going to be a huge problem. It's going to ruin games. It's going to ruin playoff games. It's going to ruin Super Bowls. It takes out the dramatic effect of making tackles when guys are going upfield, whether it's wide receivers, tight ends, and if you're undersized and you have to grab a guy by the waist, I don't know. Like, I feel like you're taking a basic tackle out of football. And I understand there's been injuries because of it, but goddamn, guys, like, injuries happen. Injuries are injuries. Like, it's going to happen. These guys are getting paid millions of dollars. Like, stop taking away so much. Like, you're babying the league. You're babying these players. So I have to worry on every play that there's going to be a hip tackle now, and it's going to be ridiculous. So I'm hoping not. I'm hoping it's I'm really hoping that it doesn't turn out that direction. So Nate 350D says, you think Cooper might be a plan B since Simmons? Maybe. It could be. I wouldn't say that would be out of question. It could be. Yeah. If they go into the draft and they still didn't sign a safety yet, I mean, they could sign one after the draft. I mean, Justin Simmons might wait till after the draft. Who knows? But if Cooper DeJean is drafted, I mean, yeah, he could end up playing anywhere at that point. We'll see. If Bradbury's still here by the draft, if they don't sign a safety by the draft, there's gonna be a lot of questions going forward. So I want to get the rest of whatever they're trying to do done before the draft, but we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. But yeah, guys, other than that, that's pretty much it. Hope you guys enjoyed the stream today. It was a short one today. I have to get off as of right now. I have to get out of here, actually. So gotta do a couple things, even though I don't. All right. Okay. All right. I'm set. So let me know what you guys think. going forward, and we'll see what happens. So I'll have a stream tomorrow. We'll be on tomorrow. Shakedown Saturday, same time, same thing as usual every single week, but we'll be back tomorrow. We'll have a video out tomorrow, membership video out tomorrow, all that great stuff. Appreciate the super chats, appreciate the memberships, appreciate everything today. And yeah, hit the like button on the way out, and make sure you subscribe because we cover the Eagles every day. Thank you so much to everybody joining up, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Enjoy the rest of your day today. And like I said, Shake Squad up, follow side. Peace out, guys. Peace.